You know what's keeping you broke? It's not your income, it's not your spending habits, and it's definitely not because you don't know how to save money. It's because you're skipping the one financial step that separates financial stability from living on the edge of disaster. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why you keep ignoring it, and how fixing this one thing will change everything about your money forever. Let me ask you something. Right now, at this exact moment, if your car broke down tomorrow and needed a $1,200 repair, could you pay for it without using a credit card? Be honest with yourself. If your answer is no, you're not alone. You're actually part of the 63% of people who couldn't cover an unexpected $500 expense without going into debt. But here's the thing that nobody's telling you. You're not bad with money. You're just playing the game without knowing the most important rule. You see, you've been told to save for retirement. You've been told to invest. You've been told to buy a house. You've been told to pay off debt. But nobody's telling you about the first step, the foundation that makes everything else possible. And without it, you're building your entire financial life on quicksand.
Think about the last unexpected expense you had. Maybe your phone screen cracked. Maybe you got a medical bill. Maybe your washing machine died. What did you do? If you're like most people, you probably put it on a credit card, told yourself you'd pay it off next month, and then you didn't. Because next month brought another emergency, and another, and another. This is the cycle you're stuck in, and it's not your fault. You were never taught that before you do anything else with your money, you need a buffer. You need a safety net. You need what financial experts call an emergency fund. And specifically, you need $5,000 of one. Now, I know what you're thinking. $5,000? I can barely save $500. And that's exactly the mindset that's keeping you trapped. Because while you think $5,000 is impossible, you're spending $5,000 a year in emergencies anyway. You're just doing it in the most expensive way possible, with credit cards at 24% interest. But here's what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to prove to you, with real numbers and real math, why $5,000 is the magic number. Not $1,000, not $500, exactly $5,000. I'm going to show you what happens to your financial life the moment you hit this number. Because here's what nobody tells you. That $5,000 emergency fund doesn't just protect you from emergencies. It completely transforms your relationship with money. It stops the bleeding. It breaks the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. And it becomes the launching pad for every other financial goal you have. I'm going to walk you through exactly why your brain keeps resisting this step. I'm going to show you the psychological tricks that make you skip it. And most importantly, I'm going to give you a clear, step-by-step path to building your $5,000 emergency fund, even if you think you have zero money to spare right now. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why this one fund, this one account with $5,000 in it, is more valuable than anything else you could possibly do with your money right now. And you're going to have a plan to build it. All right, let's start with the science behind why $5,000 is the number and why you keep skipping it. First, let's talk about why your brain hates emergency funds. You see, your brain is wired for immediate gratification. When you have $500, your brain wants you to do something fun with it. Buy something, go somewhere, experience something. Putting it in a savings account and not touching it, that feels like punishment to your brain. But here's the deeper issue. You've been sold a lie about emergency funds. You've been told to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. And when you do the math on that, it's somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 for most people. So you look at that number, feel completely overwhelmed, and think, that's impossible. I'm never going to get there. So why even start? This is exactly why $5,000 is brilliant. It's not your full emergency fund. It's your starter emergency fund. It's the amount that covers 90% of life's actual emergencies without being so overwhelming that you quit before you start. Think about your real emergencies. And I mean real emergencies, not I want new shoes emergencies. Car repair, $800 to $1,500. Urgent dental work, $500 to $2,000. Medical deductible, $1,000 to $3,000. Broken appliance, $400 to $1,200. Unexpected vet bill, $500 to $2,000. You see the pattern. Almost every real emergency you're going to face falls under $5,000. Sure, you might have a $10,000 emergency someday, but you're not optimizing for someday. You're optimizing for breaking the cycle today. Now, let me show you the real cost of not having this $5,000. Let's say you have 3 emergencies in a year. This is actually conservative. Most people have 4 to 6 unexpected expenses annually, but let's say 3. Emergency 1, $800 car repair. You put it on a credit card at 24% interest. Emergency 2, $1,200 medical bill. A credit card again. Emergency 3, $600 broken appliance. You guessed it,
Credit card. That's $2,600 in emergencies. Now, you tell yourself you'll pay these off, but life happens. Realistically, you're making minimum payments. At 24% interest, you're paying an extra $624 per year just in interest on these emergencies. Over 5 years, you've paid $3,120 in interest alone on $2,600 worth of emergencies. But here's the part that really hurts. Because you're paying off last year's emergencies, when this year's emergencies hit, you have even less room on your credit cards. So the cycle gets worse. The debt grows, the interest compounds, and you feel like you're drowning. Now, let me show you the alternative. You have $5,000 in your emergency fund. Same 3 emergencies hit. You pull from the fund. You're now down to $2,400. But here's what happens next. You're not paying interest. You're not making minimum payments. You're simply rebuilding your fund. And because you're not bleeding money to interest payments, you can rebuild it faster. You take the $624 you would have paid in interest and put it back into your emergency fund. Within 4 months, you're back to $5,000. But it gets better. Because you're not stressed about debt, you make better decisions. You don't panic and take the first expensive solution to every problem. You shop around for car repairs. You negotiate medical bills. You buy quality appliances that last longer. The $5,000 emergency fund doesn't just save you money on interest, it saves you money on everything because you're making decisions from a position of stability instead of desperation. Now, let's talk about why you still might be resisting this because even though the math makes perfect sense, your brain is fighting it. Here's why. Your brain sees saving as loss. When you move $100 from your checking account to savings, your brain doesn't think, I'm building wealth. It thinks, I just lost $100 of spending power. This is called loss aversion, and it's why saving feels so painful. Second, your brain discounts future problems. Right now, you don't have an emergency. Your car is running fine. You feel healthy. Your appliances are working. So your brain thinks, why save for something that might not happen? But here's the truth. You know emergencies happen. You've had emergencies. Your brain is just really good at forgetting pain once it's over. Third, you're comparing yourself to the wrong people. You're looking at your friend who just bought a new car, or your coworker who's going on vacation, or that influencer with the designer bag, and you think, if I save this money, I can't do those things. But here's what you don't see. Most of those people are in debt. They're stressed. They're one emergency away from financial disaster. You just don't see that part on Instagram. All right, so how do you actually build this $5,000? Because I know you're thinking, this all sounds great, but I literally have $200 in my account right now. Here's your step-by-step plan. Step 1, open a separate high-yield savings account tomorrow. Not today, not eventually, tomorrow. This account needs to be separate from your checking account. Why? Because if the money is in your checking account, you'll spend it. Your brain sees it as available. Put it in a separate account, preferably at a different bank, and suddenly it's not your money. It's your emergency fund's money. And make sure it's a high-yield savings account. Right now, you can get around 4 to 5% interest. That means your money is actually growing while it sits there. On $5,000, that's $250 per year in free money, just for having a fully funded emergency fund. Step 2, start with a micro goal of $1,000 in 60 days. $5,000 feels impossible. $1,000 in 2 months feels challenging but doable. You need $16.67 per day. That's one meal out. That's one impulse purchase. That's one subscription you don't use. Here's how you find that money. Track every single dollar you spend for 1 week. Not to judge yourself, not to feel guilty, just to see where it's going. I guarantee you'll find $50 to $100 per week that you're spending on things you don't remember, don't value, and wouldn't miss.
Cancel 2 subscriptions you forgot about, $25 per month. Pack lunch 3 days a week instead of eating out, $60 per month. Skip 1 weekend shopping trip, $75 per month. Make coffee at home instead of buying it, $40 per month. That's $200 per month, or $1,200 over 60 days. You're already over your $1,000 goal. Step 3, use the snowball method to reach $5,000. Once you hit $1,000, something magical happens in your brain. You've proven to yourself that you can save. The goal is no longer theoretical, it's real. Now you're going to use that momentum. Your next milestone is $2,500. Why? Because it's halfway, and halfway feels achievable. You've already done $1,000, you can do another $1,500. This might take you 90 days. That's fine, you're not in a race. Then you go from 2,500 to 4,000, another 1,500. You're in a rhythm now. You know how to do this. Finally, you push from 4,000 to 5,000. This last $1,000 goes faster than your first $1,000 because you've built the habit. You've trained your brain to see saving as winning, not losing. Step 4, automate everything. The day after you get paid, automatically transfer money to your emergency fund, not whatever's left over at the end of the month. There will never be money left over at the end of the month. The day you get paid, the money moves. $50, $100, $200, whatever you can do, but it moves automatically. You know what happens when you do this? After 2 months, you forget it's even happening. Your brain adjusts to your new income. You live on what's left, and your emergency fund grows without you thinking about it. Now, let me paint a picture of what your life looks like once you have this $5,000 sitting in your emergency fund. You wake up on a Tuesday and your check engine light comes on. Old you would have panicked. Your heart would race. You'd be calculating whether you could make it to payday. You'd be wondering which bill you could skip to cover this. But new you, you're annoyed, sure, but you're not panicked because you know you have $5,000. You know this is exactly what that money is for. You take your car to the mechanic, it's $1,100. You transfer the money from your emergency fund to your checking account. You pay the bill, and here's the beautiful part, you feel proud, not stressed, because this is what prepared looks like. This is what financial stability feels like. But the transformation goes deeper than just handling emergencies. Let me tell you what really changes. First, your stress level drops dramatically. You stop lying awake at night worrying about what if. You stop checking your bank account 5 times a day. You stop avoiding phone calls because they might be about money. That constant low-level financial anxiety that's been humming in the background of your life, it goes away. Second, you start making better decisions about everything. When your boss treats you badly, you don't feel trapped because you need this paycheck this week. You have options. When your landlord won't fix something, you have the leverage to push back. When a sale tries to pressure you into buying something today only, you can walk away because you're not operating from scarcity. Third, you can actually start building wealth. Right now, every dollar you make is spoken for. Bills, debt payments, surviving until next paycheck. But once you have your $5,000 emergency fund, everything changes. Now, when you get a raise, that money can go toward investing, toward a down payment, toward building real wealth, because you're not constantly repairing your financial foundation. The foundation is solid. Fourth, emergencies stop derailing your other goals. Right now, every time you try to save for something, a vacation, a new car, a house, an emergency wipes out your progress. You're starting over every few months. But with your emergency fund, your other goals are protected. You're making actual progress. And finally, here's the thing nobody tells you. Once you build this $5,000, building the next $5,000 is easier. You've proven to yourself that you can do it. You've built the habits. You've rewired your brain. Saving isn't painful anymore. It's just what you do. So here's your challenge, and I'm serious about this. I want you to pause this video right now and open a high-yield savings account. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. It takes 5 minutes. I'll wait. Once you've done that, transfer whatever you can to that account. Even if it's just $10, even if it's $5, because that's your first deposit into your $5,000 emergency fund. And that first deposit is the hardest one. Every deposit after this gets easier. Then I want you to calculate your timeline. If you can save $200 per month, you'll hit $5,000 in 25 months. That's just over 2 years. If you can do $400 a month, you'll hit it in 12.5 months, 1 year. If you can do $600 a month, you'll hit it in 8 months. By this time next year, your entire financial life could be different. And here's the truth. You've spent the last few years living in financial chaos. The next year is going to pass whether you build this emergency fund or not. The question is, 1 year from now, do you want to still be stuck in the same cycle? Or do you want to be the person who has $5,000 in the bank and total peace of mind? This is the choice you're making right now. And I'm telling you, as someone who understands exactly what this feels like, building that $5,000 emergency fund is the single most important financial decision you will ever make. Everything else builds on this foundation. Listen, you're not bad with money. You've just been playing the game without knowing the rules. And the first rule, the one that comes before everything else, is this: build your $5,000 emergency fund. So go open that account, make that first deposit, and start building the financial stability you deserve. Your future self is going to thank you for starting today. If this video helped you, hit that like button and subscribe, because I'm going to show you exactly what to do after you build this emergency fund. But first things first, go build that $5,000. I'll see you in the next one.